its activity. Selenium, a humble trace element that we all are not getting enough of unless we're supplementing. So this is, again, another validation of the work that many of you have been doing, and of course we know the basics that are not acknowledged or considered, if you will, heresy by the allopathic medical establishment. Because, of course, it's really the church of pharmaceutical mysticism. Modern medicine, it's a church. It's not a scientific endeavor. If it was one at one time, it's not that any longer. And if you doubt that it's a church, just go to California and find out that the state-sanctioned religion is modern medicine, as evidenced by the fact that you have no religious right to refuse the sacrament of that church, vaccination. What is it can we do with that? What can we do? I ask this question sometimes, who's up for the impossible, right? Impossible might take 3 days sometimes, maybe a day. And if you remember in your lifetime, those of you who are old enough to remember the Iron Curtain, the Soviet bloc, it was never coming down, right? I remember it was like the big bad wolf, they got their lock on it, it's not coming down. And then one day to the next, the whole thing fell. Tell me that was not considered impossible to have happen, really, for most of us in our lifetime. And it happened in our lifetime. We witnessed it, we saw it, it happened. Now that's a major global example, but how many examples of the impossible have you had happen in your life on a smaller scale? You were told it wasn't possible, right? Robert, it's not possible for you to cure your allergies. Keep taking the allergy shots for the rest of your life, right? And instead, of course, I met a homeopathic doctor. I began to detoxify my liver. I ate organically. I took mineral supplements. And I got rid of my allergies. I didn't grow out of them. They were genuinely gone. But the doctors will say that you could grow out of them. And they say that's like it's a good thing. And I've realized that that is, again, why I'm not impressed with a medical degree. Because if you think it's good to grow out of allergies, you don't understand what's happening to your immune system. If you do nothing to change your diet, your lifestyle, your functional activity, your belief systems, all of that, it means that your immune system has exhausted itself and it can no longer respond in that hyper manner. Because of what? The leaky gut that preceded it. Due to what? The vaccines that preceded it, the antibiotics that preceded it. And the additives and preservatives and colorings and flavorings and pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and plastifiers and GMOs and heavy metal. Now you should be scared. That's what we should be frightened of. Because the viruses, they're spewing out of your own cells because your cells have become so toxic and deficient. And even a humble trace mineral like selenium can reverse almost anything in that regard. Although I'm for all minerals. Right? Don't say he's discriminating against. I love chromium, I love silica, I talk about that and unlock the power to heal. So, who's up for the impossible? What do you want to create? What are you willing to create? Are you willing to see past the big bad bully? And I'm not even saying you have to punch the bully on the nose. You have to point at him and look at him and laugh and go, dude, you're buck naked and you're ugly too. You don't have authority, you don't have power over me. But of course, that is the great danger, that you'll wake up. Not in mass, it's one of you at a time. Because maybe this message is starting to seep through and rewrite your DNA. Not genetically altering it, but manifesting it differently because your beliefs begin to change. And that's the transformation that we have the capacity to bring about as fast as the Berlin Wall fell. There's a lot of stuff that led up to that, but this is the stuff that's leading up to that Berlin Wall falling, that's blocking the free flow of information for healing, for naturopathy, for homeopathy, for herbalism, and all the things you are here to do, to bring back those true gifts of healing that source from that far higher place than government. And that government has no authority to restrict you in this regard, as long as you're not deceiving, fraudulently claiming to be something that you're not, or actually harming someone. But of course the irony is government is protecting the one monopoly of practice in modern medicine that is harming the most. And yet there are some in our so-called holistic brethren that are clamoring to be licensed like medical doctors, and some have been licensed like medical doctors to their detriment, ultimately. And they're going to struggle, but you're going to thrive because the people are going to come to you because there's nothing in between. stopping you from doing what you know to help them and stopping them from receiving which they now know is going to help them, because all the stuff they tried already hasn't. It's made it worse. And we're in that wake-up time. We're in the midst of it. You look back and say, wow, I didn't realize I was in the middle of it while it was happening, but we're in the middle of it right now. And it's very easy to be distracted by all the political clamoring of this guy versus that guy. I mean, look, I'm a liberty guy, as you might tell a little. I like Gary Johnson personally. I've met him, I've interviewed him. But he came out for forced vaccinations this past week, which means he was never a principled libertarian in any stretch of the word, because if you believe in ownership of your own body, you would never force somebody, even if you believed in vaccines were the sacrament from God, to force somebody to accept that. That's not a libertarian. So we realize that even those that you want to vote for, there's no political savior, is my point here. You're the one that will save you and then save your community. And we'll start there at that local level and work out. Now, I'm not saying don't participate in the body politic, but I'm not going to denigrate you and speak ill of you if you decide to withdraw all consent for all of it. And in fact, you might find that to be more profound and efficient ultimately to transform the obstacles